Okay guys, in this video we are going to make some paper flowers, and I am going to do some blue. And now what I have here is actually a file folder. It is a different color blue inside than versus outside kind of thing. You can see in a couple of them where I cut it out on the Cricut, it actually says Office Max there because that's what kind of folder it was. But I'm not too concerned with that because I do have several full flowers, and the ones here that say Office Max on them, I can just cut that out, make a shorter petal, and it will be fine as long as I have one full petal to go on the inside and one full petal to go on the outside. And you'll see what I mean here in just a little bit. For this particular flower I need 6 flower petals. So there I go, I have 6 laid out here. So I will start putting them together. The first step will be to roll the flower petals. I tried to find something that was bigger because this flower in particular is going to be bigger. If you are doing a smaller flower, then you can choose something smaller like a pencil or whatever it is. But you just want to kind of rub the flower petals to give a kind of a dome or a cone shape, because when you fold them up and put them together, that's really going to be helpful to you. So I'm going to go through and do all of them this way. Okay, I got all those curled up a little bit. I've got my hot glue gun ready. I am positioning the flower petals to where I can have a full one to start with, no little tiny petals. So I'm kind of folding them over to match up with the opposite side and giving them a straight edge there. That's going to help me as I go through to make sure it's going to line up right. Now the first 2 petals really have to have, they have to fold in tight. So I took a pencil, which was a lot smaller, to try to curl in those edges. It's a little hard to explain here what I'm about to do, but I really just need to make these 2 that are total opposite sides of each other come together to make a tight petal. And that's going to start my rose. I will build on my rose from this point forward. So using the hot glue, you really need those silicone fingers because it's really hard to hold that glue in place until it really cools down without burning yourself. And then you'll just bring up each petal, kind of leave it a little cone shaped. As you go out, you're going to kind of leave it, you're going to manipulate it to look the way that you want it to look, but you're going to need to not bring it tight in. You're going to need a space. If you have something like a pencil, you want to stick down in the space to give it a a uniform look, that's fine. I found that it was easier to just try to manipulate it by sight, what looked good to me. And you'll see as it comes together, you can kind of change the look of it. Some things aren't going to look exactly like you want them to, but you can actually manipulate with each layer that you go. You can make it work for you. When you get done with your layer, you want to put some hot glue on the bottom, match up those holes on the bottom, kind of hold it in place until that glue dries. This cardstock is really thick, so if you do not get that good hold on it until the hot glue actually cools down enough to actually hold, your flower will pop apart. So where you can see here, I'm just kind of holding and manipulating. You really got to get that glue to dry. Now, on this first layer, you'll see that my first petal, I only glued one side and left the other side open. That's what you want to do. But as you're going around this flower, you're going to actually glue both sides until you get all the way around. It's kind of hard to explain. It's really probably just easier to watch, but the reason I left that first petal open is because when I get around to that last petal, I'm going to tuck it up in there so it kind of looks like a consistent, you know, a pattern all the way around there. So you'll probably just get more information just by watching here. Okay, as I'm going to add the next layer, I'm going to watch where I have the short petal from the previous layer. I don't want to layer those up in the same area. And I'll just go through this layer the same as the last. You're going to try to manipulate those petals the best you can. Okay guys, so sometimes you don't have the color of cardstock that you need, So in this case, I was going to try out some copy paper. It's stationary. It's a little heavier than just regular copy paper. But I cut out six petals on my Cricut, and I'm going to try to put it together just like I did the last time. The same steps. You curl your petals and you just do it layer by layer. So I'm just going to kind of just breeze through this here. So with this flower, I'm going to attempt to make a watercolor to try to shade this flower the way that I want it to go. I'm looking for turquoise. I do have some turquoise paint, which I watered down. I'm just going to try it on some test strips. I'm hoping that the paper will soak up the water and, kind of make it look watercolored. But it's not exactly doing that the way that I thought it would, so I just kind of go through and paint and dribble and drip some turquoise watered down paint on this flower. Now it is copy paper, so we don't want to get it too wet because it may rip or fall apart. So I just go through and kind of dabble in some paint. I will wait and let it dry before I do the underside. But it's looking kind of cute. I'm really liking the way it turned out. So if you get into a pinch and you don't have the right color paper for your paper flowers, this is something you can do as an alternative. The watercolored will turn out a lot paler or muted than an actual colored paper would. So just keep that in mind. But I'm loving the way these flowers turned out. Here are some more pictures as I got some done. I photographed them. Thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next one.